Oh, we are live.
Evet.
Şimdi gidip YouTube'dan bakıyorum. Waiting for Adloran. 22 watching.
Ya, gelen var hocam.
Yes. Okay, welcome class and attendees. This is going to be our first online, I guess, webinar, guest speaker. We did one with Ali Halabi. However, we were using basically Zoom and WebEx there. So this is powered by StreamYard. Okay, so to make it look as if I'm looking at Bahadır, what direction must I look in? I need to figure that out. So welcome. If there are any problems, affola. So it's beginning. Why doesn't somebody write something in the chat to make sure that that works? Otherwise, I'm going to have to do it myself. Are you able to ask questions? Bahadır, kendimiz yapacağız galiba.
Tamam hocam.
Tayland'da yapmış. So they're not arriving yet. I saw it on the comments. Here they are. So we can also do this. StreamYard. Look left, Professor. Okay.
Sistem çalışıyor. It's working.
Yes. Okay. So let's begin. Let me take a peek. How many of us are there? We had 22. One of them made a run for it. Bahadır, we're not interesting enough. So I'm leaving the floor to you. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself, but not just about the entrepreneur, Bahadır, but some information about your background, your early life. What was it like?
Sure. Well, hi everyone. My name is Bahadır, and I'm attending this fireside chat from Singapore. So I think so that the whole thing relates with everyone here. I was a student. I started Middle East Technical University in 2003. So my high school finished, and I entered Middle East Technical University in 2003. And I took a break of 1 year. I went to United States, Virginia, to attend as a senior in a high school in the States. So 2014, I finished high school one more time in United States, and then I started officially the university after that. So I would say I mean, I know you said not about entrepreneurship, but the whole entrepreneurship thing, I guess the whole poison got into me when I started university. Like the first months of the school, I decided to take this path of entrepreneurship. During high school times, I was, just a regular kid doing regular high school stuff. Yeah, I mean that's I would say that's pretty much it. I'm originally from Ardahan, from Turkey, if that makes sense. And basically I grew up in Bursa, and for university I moved to Middle East Technical University. I moved to Ankara, and I've been a student for 15 years now. I think this is my 15th year in the school. I took calculus 20 times, accounting another 20 times. So that's pretty much it.
Did you work when you were in high school during the summers?
Definitely. I mean, I did a couple of things, but I was working in. I remember one time working in an exchange office where I would deal with tourists. I will try to understand how the whole exchange business works. Other than that, I remember working in a bookstore in Turkey. So kırtasiye, as you would say, I was working in a kırtasiye, helping the owner there. But I wouldn't say I worked because I needed it. It was more like just to fill my summers instead of just eating çekirdek and drinking cola in the park with my friends.
Normally, I would ask my guests, okay, now after university was over, and then did you have a career before entrepreneurship? But in your case, everything is kind of coming together. So,
True.
what was the first things that you did? There is the Yeni Fikirler Yeni İşler, which is a very interesting story. But was there anything before that related to entrepreneurship?
Well, to be honest, when I mean, I wouldn't say there was much. There was some interest, as any Turkish teenager, I was looking for things that I could do, but I wasn't really serious about anything until I met Yeni Fikirler Yeni İşler. So I've seen the competition, Yeni Fikirler Yeni İşler. I was 19 years old, and I think it was my third or fourth month in the university. Make no mistake, I started as a student who wanted to graduate properly. I was eager. I was willing to be the top of my class. And one of the advantages I had was because I had 1 year of high school in the States. My English was a bit better than the rest of the class, and that gave me an advantage of understanding the class much easier than everyone else. So my imagination was, okay, I'm in the best university of Turkey. I'm gonna be the best I can be, and after 4 years, I'm gonna come in, uh, become an amazing finance guy. Or become an amazing CEO somewhere. It just didn't happen. In my third month, I saw the competition. Yeni Fikirler, Yeni İşler. There was a brochure in my dormitory. I used to stay in a dormitory called İsa Demiray. If I'm not mistaken, we called it the Demiray dormitories. So I saw this brochure. It simply said, yeah, there were three next to each other, Isa, Faika, and one more. So I saw the brochure. The brochure said, do you have an idea? If yes, come in, and if you are the winner, we are going to give you 50,000 Turkish liras, an office in Technokent. And I just thought, why not? So by the time I knew there was an idea, I was watching this video. It wasn't an original idea. I was watching this video where there was a camera inside the car, which was recording the accident. And I was thinking, why did they put a camera inside the car? Did they know that there will be an accident? Why is there a camera? When I made some research, I realized that this is actually something that was available in the United States back then. It was something to use to record what's happening inside the car during accidents, things like that. So I found an engineer friend, and we entered the Yeni Fikirler Yeni İşler competition. I wasn't expecting it. We won the competition, so we got the first place, and that's how the whole entrepreneurship life started.
Let me add a few things about this. Yeni Fikirler, Yeni İşler. In 2005, that was the inaugural year. That was the first time it was being held. And I didn't know this, but since that time, I've met a lot of the people involved with that, including Bahadır. But even I found out that Mete Çakmakçı was one of the people that actually instructed. He's now the general secretary of TTGV. And the company that came, the group that came in second and third are also companies that I've worked together with. In class, I've talked about them, Kaan and Demirhan, Kade, which came in second with their project. By the way, their project was a camera to follow the football in fields and when playing in halı saha, and then automatically record it and sell it to you right after. And they actually did sell one, okay? Never again, but they did sell one and actually put it up. But later, from that technology, that stuff, they went on to other things. They formed V-Count. Later, Khan had Onedio, and now some other things.
Yep.
Glass Moon, okay. Another one was tourism-related kind of GPS-based system. They that later formed Mobilus, and they have the baby camera and other things. And then Bahadır, your idea, you won the prize, and you got 50,000 lira.
We got 35,000 out of it. At some point, Technokent realized that this kid is just 19 years old, and he's spending the money in Aspava and Tavacı Usta. So we shouldn't give him the rest of the money. To be honest, I think big guns. Uh, I we didn't have the mindset what to do, what to even do with the 50,000 lira. We didn't even know how to start a company, how to run a company. I was just a lucky guy at some point, who told a good story, who showed a good idea to the jury. But that was pretty much it. I had no background of running a company. I had no idea what to do. We had a place in Technokent for 3 years, which turned out to be a spot for watching movies with my friends eventually. So I didn't use that chance properly, to be very honest. But nevertheless, it kind of gave us the whole experience of, okay, this is what entrepreneurship looks like. These are the mistakes I did, and if I do this again, these are the things that I'm going to avoid, eventually.
Well, what we call experience is actually the sum of your past mistakes.
True.
So you did make some mistakes there, and it seems that you learned, and it got you started along this way. And now I think you have to be a senior or something like that to be able to partake. And we've opened it to, it's now in its 15th, 16th year. And we actually...
I think Yeni Fikirler also learned a lot of things after us. They gained a lot of experience after the first year when they, when we won the competition. So I might not be a good memory for the competition, to be honest. We were their first time, and it wasn't a very good first time for them.
Well, there wasn't an exact database of this, and with one of my doctoral students, master students, Beliz, she actually completed her thesis on the history and on the impact of Yeni Fikirler, Yeni İşler. And when we looked into it, I was surprised how much of an effect it has had. How many companies were begun, especially that first year. More than half of them are from you, by the way. You kind of skew the numbers. How many companies have you started?
I think 5 or 6 companies must
really be. Because even in the list that I have, there's more than 5 or 6.
Some of them might be a product under the same company, but eventually it might be a total 5 or 6 companies, I would say.
Okay, so your first company, the team initially was, I think, Nymphetamine. Okay.
Yes, Nymphetamine. So this was the
company
company that we were supposed to do the the
webcam, car cam.
The car cam. We called it the auto cam. So we would do the auto cam. That was the first company. But again, it was almost like a fling for us. Like we built it, nothing happened. We couldn't. I mean, we spent some money. We tried to do the R&D, but it just we weren't in the right mindset. We had no idea what we were doing, to be honest. So this was the first company. This was the first thing that we did, and after that, I think once. See, what happened was when I won the Yeni Fikirler, Yeni İşler, built the company, and I started becoming this famous guy for entrepreneurship, in the school, in the class. And at some point, I couldn't go back to becoming a student, just like a regular student. So it was almost like it became a situation where I kind of had to prove that I wasn't doing this for nothing. And this it's almost like a poison in your body. You just think of doing other stuff. So I tried to do things like advertising on cloth hangers in the university. I was always looking for some ideas. I mean, there were even idiotic times where I was selling pizza in my dormitory because at night people get hungry. So I would stock the pizza in my fridge, and I would then serve them to their rooms. Whenever
cold pizza.
Cold pizza. I will sell. I don't know if that's right to say here, but I will sell cigarettes in my dormitory because in the dormitory at night people need that. So I started working like a kapalı çarşı esnafı inside my dormitory. But I think this was the situation for a long time. Then, if you want me to continue the journey there, yep.
Sure. Then another interesting thing happens. I'm not sure how many of our audience knows this, but there is a contest on television, right? Bir fikrin mi var?
True.
Okay. You probably weren't their first winner, were you?
I was in the second year this time.
Okay. You missed the first year. So then you go and compete, you take part in Bir fikrin mi var? What happens there?
So Yeni Fikirler Yeni İşler was more regional, I would say, more like ODTÜ based. There were people from the region, but Bir fikrim mi var was more of a national competition, again about business ideas. And I entered the competition and I won again. So I was the winner of that competition too. They started calling me trophy hunter, like just going from competition to competition and just winning the competitions. So what happened with the Bir fikrim mi var was, then my idea was building a digital signage, digital TV network all around Turkey. And the unique value proposition was this. There are so many TVs in every cafe that we go. Even when I think of ODTÜ Çarşı, I would go down and there was a TV in Makara. I think it was called Makara. So there, in Makara, in the Balıkçı, there was always a TV in every restaurant. Now these TVs exist in every restaurant in Turkey. So I had this simple idea, and they were all playing this thing called Akıllı TV. So I had a simple idea. I said, these guys are playing these dumb videos anyways. Why don't I go to these restaurants and say, I want to own your TV, not paying any money. You already purchased it. It's already in your coffee shop. And I want to play my own content. I wanna just integrate my own PCs, little PCs, and I want to start playing my own content. And with this, what happened was suddenly, imagine we had 500, 1,000 TV networks all around Turkey without spending a dime on the TVs. So it was like the Uber, what Uber does with cars, we did with the TVs in Turkey. We started building these things, Pizza Hut TV, Midpoint TV, Havelka TV, Nam Nam TV. Anywhere there's a TV, we used to turn them into their own channels and we would give them the content. And the whole idea was we will work like a TV channel, a hyper-local TV channel where local people, local companies around these places can do advertising. So I wanted to...
I think your microphone is scratching against your beard a little bit.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you, but sometimes your microphone, I guess, it rubs against your shirt.
Is it better?
And it makes, yes, it is.
Okay.
But when you move, I think it does that. So you might want to move it out a little.
Okay. Is it much better?
Excellent.
Okay. So basically, we built this TV network. I won the competition with this idea. I got an investment from some good angels from Istanbul, and Özyeğin University was also part of this. So I got an investment from the Özyeğin University.
Was it the university or Özyeğin himself?
Indirectly Özyeğin himself, but not directly Özyeğin himself. It was a fund that belonged to the university. Okay. So they gave me 1 million Turkish liras. Again, it was a good amount of money to start the business.
And at that time, that was a lot more than it is now. So that was probably something like $1 million.
Yeah, definitely. It was a good amount of money. Definitely good amount of money. So we started this, and we started in 2010, and I did my best till 2012. So I would go from coffee shop to coffee shop and add them into our portfolio, coffee shop to coffee shop, add them into our portfolio. But of course, we did a lot of mistakes. I learned a lot of things in this company too. One thing was we didn't own our technical infrastructure. That was one of the biggest mistakes. So we would constantly have problems on the TVs, which the coffee shop owners would hate. Another thing is, nobody in the company, including the investors, knew the media landscape. We had no idea how advertising works. I had this fantasy, I think I used this before. If I build it, they will come. Nobody came. Nobody came. I thought, if I have 1,000 screens in Turkey, everybody would want to advertise. But the problem was, I had no idea how advertising logic works. What it really means to get a company on a screen, what it means to sell screen time to a company. Then we started learning about the whole media landscape, media agencies, how to get advertising from Turkcell, how to get advertising from Vodafone. Yeah.
And plus, it was early in that there was not a lot of advertising on the internet either, on websites. Because if that had begun, then maybe they could have imagined, yes, oh, these screens could be valuable. But
Yep,
the advertising companies were still, oh, this magazine, this television channel, and so on. Or
exactly.
billboards, I guess, was the state
Billboards.
of the art.
Billboards is a good example. And what we realized was, and to be honest, advertising industry is a very closed industry. It's almost like a certain number of people running the whole show, and it is extremely difficult for someone from outside to come in and say, "Hey guys, I'm here. Can I get a slice of this pie?" It just doesn't work so easy. It's a very close network of people. Media, uh, these media agency guys, the Bergs and the Jansus of the world, and it's just there was no place for another Bahadır to come in and get a pie. It was just very difficult, to be honest. And I suck at B2B, by the way. I still do. I'm terrible at B2B selling. I'm really good at B2C. I love the end user. I love working for the end customer. But when it comes to building relations, company to company, I'm really terrible at whining and dining with those guys and handling these conversations. So basically that failed too. TV network, we call it, because we couldn't get advertising. There was very little revenue from just a couple of companies.
But
And
let's talk a little bit about
yeah,
that business model because I still think it's a great idea.
yeah,
So rather than the TV channels getting the advertising revenue, your company, which has these TVs in these restaurants, in these shopping centers, and so on, they turn on your television and you show music, you show other things. In between, you have ads.
yeah,
And so the ad revenue that you get, you are going to share with directly those stores,
true,
right?
true. So we
So
will get we will get advertising on the screens, and we will share our revenue from the screens with the coffee shop owner. See, the model itself sounds sexy. I'll give you that. But uh, when you really try to understand how advertising works, how customer acquisition works, there are things that are good to have, and there are things that are must have. And we were a good to have channel. I mean, being on a screen in a coffee shop, trying to get attention of the people sitting in the restaurant is hard work. Not everybody looks at those screens. Not everybody watches. Now, the sound, it sounds sexy. It sounds like a feasible model, but in reality, it's a very good to have. It's almost like, okay, we spend our $100 million on the necessary channels. Now we have $10,000 left. What to do with this? Okay, give it to these guys. Give it to these guys so we can be on those screens too. So it's a good to have channel, but not a must have for any agency. So we weren't really attractive. We weren't really attractive, for the advertisers, I believe.
by the
But
way, in our previous chats, when talking about the advertising agencies and advertising word, I learned quite a bit from some of the things that you said, and I use it from time to time. I don't give your name, okay, so you don't get into trouble,
yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
some real interesting things.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say it again. I'm in Singapore, so they cannot touch me. But there is this thing called
Kokukan.
in the. I'm gonna be very honest. No need to sugarcoat it. There is this thing called the return money in advertising. Basically, the guy who decides where the budget goes. There's this badge sitting in front of everyone. He's the gatekeeper between you and Turkcell's money or Vodafone's money or whatever advertising company. This gatekeeper. This Berg always asks for a return, and return is a fancy name for giving something on the side. And we couldn't do that. This is not me. That's not my style. Basically, you have to make Berg happy. I mean, Berg is just a name, by the way, just an example name. You have to make Berg happy, so you can start even talking about using, getting the budget of those big companies. And making Berg happy is just, it's beyond my personal ability. It's something that I cannot handle personally. I don't even know how to do it. Like, I don't even know how to. So it was a very difficult industry for me. Trying to make the bags of the world happy. It was very difficult for me.
This is what we call a conflict of interest from Bag's point of view, the advertising agency's point of view, because one, they're the intermediary for their advertisers. So
True.
their aim should be to maximize the value of that advertising, get it to the best places, to seen by the most people that they are interested in. But at the
True.
same time, sorry, that's from the background. At the same time, they have another incentive, which is don't advertise in the best places, but the places that give you a higher rate of return.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
that's a problem. That's a big
It is a
problem.
problem. It is a
And
problem. It's a problem. I mean,
yes.
and I wasn't willing to do that. I wasn't willing to pay for bags BMW. It's just not my style. So we kind of got stuck in a world where we don't understand. We were the black sheeps. We were the strangers in that industry, and we just didn't know how to play the game. So yeah. So
Here's a little question for you from
yes.
Ali. What was the content like other than the advertisement? So what was on that
Yeah,
screen?
yeah. I mean, the content was anything you could see. I don't know if Akıllı TV still exists, but basically, videos like, funny videos, cat videos, dog videos, fail videos. Some restaurants ask for specific content, so we will do like fashion videos, catwalks. Some restaurants would ask for like food videos, so we will do, like delicious food cooking kind of thing. So it was any type of content that is just like a time wasting videos, I would call them, like just time wasting videos.
Okay, so we come to more of your interesting next projects. Then for a while you shut down that company or simply gave up.
So
What did you do next?
I sent an email to my investors in that company by the end of 2012, and I said, I am miserable. I'm miserable as fuck. I'm so sorry, but I'm depressed. I'm at a point in my life where things are just shattering down. My relationships, my personal relationships were over in that time. So, I got a divorce, and the company wasn't making money. I was living in a place. So my company was in Etiler. The company was in Etiler. Every day I was driving 2-3 hours to a place called Halkalı in Istanbul. So I was living in this toplu konutlar in Istanbul, and there was this. It was just like this waking up unhappy every morning, not wanting to go to work, doing this 3-hour traffic, going into something that is not generating any revenue. The people, the staff was unhappy. You have to understand one thing. A company exists of so many things, Adil Hoca. Like, from its vision to the company culture to how you manage expectations. I had no idea about any of those. My current version would run those companies very, very differently, right? But back then it was just me and 5 other miserable people sitting in the office, unhappy, not generating any revenues. And I was stuck with some investors who expected me to work without getting a good salary. So I was in Istanbul. I was paying 550 Turkish liras for my rent. I was the founder of a company, and my salary was 1,000 lira. So I had to survive on 1,000 lira in Istanbul. And I remember an investor saying, I didn't just buy the company, I bought you. So you have to do whatever I want. So I was working with people who would insult me into performance, who would just it was a miserable, toxic relationship in the company, outside the company, with the investors. Just terrible, all over, just terrible experience. So basically, I got depressed. I sent them an email. I'm saying that I am at the lowest point of my life, and I'm going back to ODTÜ. So I decided, okay, I'm gonna go to Adana, where my parents were. I lived in Adana for 2 months during the summer. I shut myself down in my room. I was depressed. I was watching Doktorlar dizisi all day. It was showing all day on Show TV. So I was watching Doktorlar from day to evening. Uh, my mom, my dad, they wouldn't touch me. They knew I was depressed. At some point, I lost God, to be honest. So it was the most depressing time of my life. Then I decided to do something new, and that's how the Wasco started. So, yeah.
Actually, I that's when I met you. Okay,
Yeah,
because in 2012, I guess, or someplace close to that,
2012 and 2013 beginning, somewhere around that.
I remember you walked into my office,
2012. Yeah, you're right.
and
2012.
I don't think that you had taken one of my classes before, but you came in and you said, "Hi, my name is Bahadır, and I have an interesting story." And I think Tuğrul Atasoy, I think, had also mentioned you. And that's around the time that I was beginning to get involved with the Entrepreneurship Research Center.
Yeah.
So, kind of different point of view. And you came in and you had a very interesting story. But at that time, you had told me, okay, what you had told me is, oh, I've gone out into the business world. I've had many knocks. I've been gone this way because I didn't know accounting, because I didn't know, the details of this. So I'm going to take it serious. And this time, I'm gonna, spend my time here, and then I'm going to make it a success. You did get an AA from my class, by the way. I went back and checked. So
I did.
good job there, but not in all of the others. What happened?
So, while my depression is happening, I found this idea. So my family, it might be strange to everyone here, but my relatives were in a business called the ship supply business. So basically, any ship that goes to a port in a country, they need what we call the provisions, so that the people on the ship, there are 25 sailors living on a ship, right? They need to eat, they need to drink. So whenever you see a ship on the port, that ship has to buy stuff in this country because the ship will go to the ocean for another month. So they buy these supplies from what we call the ship suppliers in the ports that they go. Now, my family used to be a ship supplier in Turkey, in Kocaeli. We were supplying those ships when they come to Turkey. And I was the one at some point before, this was like when I was working in the summers with my uncles. I was the one who was going to the ships and asking the captain if they need anything. And the captain will give me a list with like 100 kilo tomatoes, 200 kilo potatoes, this and that, right? So we will go to Metro, the shopping place, Metro. We will collect what the ship needs and we will take them on board. And it's a good business. Every time a ship orders, it will be around $7,000 to $10,000. So when you supply a ship, you make good money just with one ship. So I had this idea. I thought, okay, when a ship comes to Turkey, I find them and I supply them, right? Why don't I build a network of warehouses? Imagine it like a yemek sepeti, but for the ships. So this was when I was depressed, sitting in my room. The idea just came, and I said, why don't I build a ship supply network all around the world? Not just Turkey, not just my uncles, but a company in Belgium, a company in United States, Brazil, Japan, Venezuela, Chile, wherever they might be. So I actually did that, and I found a couple of ship suppliers in Europe. Now, what I needed to do was to copy what I do for Turkey for these countries. So I found this ship that is going to Belgium, and this was still my depressed time. I told my dad that I need 600 Turkish liras. That's all. That's all I need. I have an idea I need to test. And why I need the money is because the only way to communicate with a ship is to send them a satellite message. You cannot just send them like a regular message. It has to be satellite connectivity. So there are systems which allow you to send satellite messages to the ships, to the captains. So I
Like
subscribe
SMS message, something like
like,
that, right?
like a very short message. It's very expensive because one satellite message costs around $3 to $4 and very short. It's like, Captain, I'm a supplier in Belgium. Do you need anything? That's it. That's the question you can ask, and it's $4. It's going to cost you $4 to ask this. So I got 600 Turkish liras from my dad, and I sent this message to 20 ships going to Europe. One of them replied, going to Belgium, and said, so I approached them saying that, Captain, I'm a supplier in Belgium, not in Turkey. They didn't know that I was sitting in my depressed room in Adana watching Doktorlar on the TV with my laptop on my lap, right? They thought I'm a professional company having my office in Belgium. So, this guy from Adana contacting this ship who is going to Belgium, like it's It's just idiotic. Anyways, so the captain replies and says, yes, I need the list. So the captain sends me a list, and I find a supplier, just like I imagined, in Belgium. I send the list to the guy in Belgium. I say, this is my customer. They quote for me, and it's $15,000. The total is $15,000. The supplier asks me, what do you want? I said, 5%, give me 5% if this is successful, right? So I send the list to the captain, acting like a big company. Captain confirms. I send it to the company in Belgium. The Belgium company delivers everything when the ship arrives in Belgium. And then they send me, I think, $750 or something like this. I don't even have a USD bank account. There is nothing. So they say, okay, we supplied the ship. Now we need to send you, $1,000. Where do we send it? So I run to Akbank. I open a USD account, and then I give them, and it's Bahadır Özdemir USD account. It's not even a company, right? It's my personal USD account. So nevertheless, I received the money, and out of nowhere, I received 600 Turkish liras from my dad, and I just made $750. And I kind of like, okay, I found what I'm going to do. I'm just going to, double down on this. And I built Wasco. So it's basically short for World Ship Supply Company. I built Wasco. And at the same time, I started school again. I went back to university. I met you. And so I was running Wasco, and I was trying to be a successful student at the same time. But then Wasco just got big. Like so I started serving 100 ships every month. I would attack everywhere: Brazil, Venezuela, Chile, Japan, everywhere. And
How would you catch the ships?
So
how did you find the ships?
So there are systems online which are like radar systems for ships. It allows you to see every ship in the world, where the ships are going. Many systems. You can just Google now. I don't remember every of them, but you can just Google like track ships on Google, and you will see there are websites where you can just track the ship wherever they are going. So it turned out to be a good business. So me, depressed, comes back to school, builds a good business. I'm having fun in the school this time, but I'm now like 26, 27 years
Yes,
old.
you become Bahadır abi.
Yes, I become Bahadır abi this time. So that part was weird a little bit. Now all my peers were now in banks, working in Pfizer, working in Garanti Bank. Everyone that started with me. Even I would go to the assistance room, and I would see that my peers were now assistants that were giving me giving me classes. They were teaching, oh, Bahadır. So I started, they became my teachers in a sense, my peers. But yeah, I mean, that's how I built Wasco. And it turned out to be pretty good. In 2 years, I generated $30 million GMV. So gross merchant volume was $30 million, and I got 5% commission on that. So yeah, it was, it was weird though, I got 50,000 from Yeni Fikirler, failed. I got 1 million from Bir Fikrim Var, failed. The day I got 600 Turkish liras from my dad was the business that actually, turned out to be something. But again, still a very lifestyle business, still no professional structuring, just me and my laptop, and, just working every day. It still wasn't like a company. It was just a one-man show. That found a nice niche and just running it. And yeah, that's how the Wasco thing happened.
And then you kind of went into technology around that same idea, right? So that's
True.
the next company, I guess. Does
Yeah.
Wasco still exist? Did you sell that? What happened?
I sold Wasco. I sold Wasco. So what happened was, so at some point I was okay, living a okay life, just a regular entrepreneur doing, going to school. But this time not in a dormitory. This time more comfortable. I was just in a more comfortable position. A 26-year-old guy doing his own business, making money, and having fun in the classes. Right? It was a very comfortable phase for me. But during these times, I started. This was also a transition period for me, like, where my life is going, what am I gonna do with my life? The usual midlife crisis, I think, coming and knocking on the door.
That's early. At 26, that's early.
Still,
For a midlife crisis.
I felt it was coming soon. So actually, what happened was, when I was flying the ships, I kept getting this question from the ship captains. Everywhere they go, they would ask me, thank you for the potatoes, thank you for the tomatoes, but can you provide us local SIM cards because we want to go online, we want to call our families. And then I did a survey among the captains and the sailors. I sent them a questionnaire, and I realized this is the biggest pain for sailors because they change countries every couple of weeks. One day they are in Turkey, next day they are in Netherlands, 2 weeks later they are in Brazil. And these guys' biggest pain is connectivity. How do you connect in so many countries? How do you take care of this? And I realized what was happening was the ship would go to the port, then they would, if they are lucky, somebody would come to the ship and try to sell them a local SIM card with 3 times the prices. So this is when I decided SIM for Crew. So I came up with this idea. I said, can I make a SIM card that works globally and connects them everywhere they go? So I launched SIM for Crew again from one room, just one man show. I launched a global SIM card company just for the maritime industry, and
I still have one of those. You gave me one in a
yeah,
package, and I'm not in my office, so I can't show it, but it's
yeah.
still somewhere in my office.
It's I think
Is the website still alive?
yeah. I mean, it's still alive. I'll show you. Let me if I can find one. Yeah. So so basically sim4crew.com. That's the SIM card. It's a global SIM card. So this turned out to be a success. We served. So I suddenly became a company that has 50,000 customers, like 50,000 subscribers. I was like a small Turkcell, like a small Vodafone, 50,000 people topping up their SIM cards, giving us $10, $15 every month. So that business became a good business itself, next to Vosco. Then I sold Vosco, and just by the time I built Sim4Cree, I also decided to move to Singapore, and so
Don't
yes.
skip over. I
Oh,
think Vestra was in between there as well, no?
okay, so Vestra, yes. So Vestra is actually an addition to Vosco. What happened was, now with Vosco, this is what I was doing. I was every day spending 10 hours online finding ships and messaging them. I would find the ship. Okay, this ship is going to Turkey. This ship is going to Brazil. This ship is going to Belgium. This is going to Venezuela. I would spend 10 hours every day to find the ship, to send them a satellite message. Find the ship, satellite message. So I thought, okay, this is something if I can automate or not. So that's when I built Vestra. Vestra is, I don't come up with the most creative names, but Vestra is basically vessel tracking bot. So I built Vestra, and Vestra did what I did in 10 hours for me in just 5 minutes. All I did was to define the communication addresses of every ship and use an API to track all the ships in the world. So whenever a ship would define, I'm going to Brazil to this port, Vestra would automatically send a message to the captain saying that, hi, captain, my name is Veronica. I'm a ship supplier in Brazil, blah, blah, blah, blah, blah, blah. So I would catch the vessels instantly. I wouldn't even spend 10 hours every day. What I did in 10 hours, Vestra will take care of in 5 hours. So my job was now, only when the captain replies back, I will take over the conversation. So Vestra is actually part of Vosco. It's kind of what automated Vosco and made Vosco bigger. Before, Vosco was manual. Find the ship, send a message. Find the ship, send a message. Every day, 10 hours. Vestra made it a 5-minute job for me. So
And
I became like a two-staff company. It was before just me. Now it was me and the bot sitting on the cloud talking to the ships for me.
mhm. And I think you also tried to sell that service to others, but how did it go?
That didn't happen as well as I wanted it to be, and then I actually decided not to do that anymore. What I realized was the companies see my chance was I would make money from the volume because Vestra would attack 1,000 ships and I would supply 50 of them. But when I decided to sell it to suppliers in certain countries, it didn't work the same for them. They would attack 50 ships, but only one would reply. So the return on investment didn't make sense for them. It was making sense for me because 50 out of 1,000 was still good revenue. But 1 out of 50, it just didn't make sense for them. So I said, okay, I'm not going to open this to anyone. I'm just going to continue using it myself. And that's what I did.
And that was sold together with Wasco?
I sold Wasco to a big ship supply company in Turkey, and I sold half of Sim4Crew to the same person. So I got some money out of this, and then moved to Singapore.
Okay. How's the weather in Singapore?
It's always 27 degrees, always beautiful. No, I miss the snow, I miss the cold. I think I'm gonna be in Turkey in January or February, depending on how the COVID situation looks. But it's always beautiful. I mean, if I start talking about Singapore, it's another hour's subject. It is the safest and one of the most peaceful countries in the world. It's just on a whole different level. It's crazy.
But can you buy chewing gum?
No, you cannot. True, that's one thing. Chewing gum is not allowed here. I think there was a train accident. Somebody stuck a chewing gum in the door of the train. The door didn't close. This is like 20 years ago. So some people like dropped off the train. So since then, no chewing gum allowed here. When people chew gum here, they feel like they are doing something like
illegal.
Sometimes people bring it from Malaysia. So Malaysia and Singapore is like 15 minutes. Sometimes people bring chewing gum from Malaysia, and they feel like, would you like a chewing gum?
Smuggler.
It's almost like they are giving you drugs, like, hey, chewing gum, would you like this? And you're like, okay, thank you. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy.
So, Sim4Crew, and then I guess now that you are in the telecommunications world, right? So you've gotten into telecommunications, and I remember seeing pictures of you. I actually saw a picture of the factory where the Sim4Crews were being put together.
Are you referring to my home?
Yes,
yes.
You and your uncle and your wife, I guess, were sitting around the table.
My wife, my sister-in-law, she's 6 years old, and my brother-in-law. So the first manufacture, the first production line was we were doing at home. So basically Sim4Crew is packages and the SIM cards. We will do it ourselves before because I will do small volumes, so like 100, 200 each time. So we will package them at home. We will just seal the packages at home. So the first production line was my home, and the workers was my 6 years old sister-in-law. She will just drop the SIM cards inside the packages.
Okay, and then something big technological happened, right? You noticed something? What was that? And by the way, if you have questions, you can ask it in the chat. For example, after telling the story, somebody is asking, what made you move to Singapore? Do you want to tell the eSIM first, or would you like to answer this?
I can tell the eSIM and then answer
Okay.
this one. So with Sim4Crew, I was now in telecom business, and I was an accidental telecom guy who got into this in 2-3 years ago, and basically what happened, I'm sure I'm seeing on the news that Turkey is now also talking about eSIMs. So in 2018 September, not so much. In 2018 September, Apple decided to change the whole SIM card game. So basically, Apple said, how there are two slots for a SIM card in the phone, your primary line and the secondary line. Now, Apple said, I'm going to keep the primary line, the first physical slot for your SIM card, but the second one is going to be an eSIM, and it stands for embedded SIM. So the next generation smartphones now come with an embedded SIM card put inside the phone in the manufacture phase. So it's not your call anymore. There is an embedded SIM card inside the phone, you like it or not. It's an empty SIM card. So what I realized when this was shipped, this was like the first month when Apple shipped this, I thought, okay, basically there is an empty SIM card inside the phone, and what's going to happen is that we will actually install telecom operators into the phone, not buy a physical SIM card anymore, but install them, just like music, just like a movie. So I figured out what Netflix did to DVDs. the world is gonna need the same logic for telcos, because for the first time, telcos are now digitally accessible, and when the telcos are now digitally accessible through eSIMs, what does the world need? They need a platform to access the telcos. So that's how we came up with Eiralo. So Eiralo is the world's first and still the only eSIM aggregator. What we do is just like how Netflix aggregates movies for you. You find Narcos, you find Pursuit of Happiness, you find Rick and Morty, you find How I Met Your Mother. Just like you find the shows on Netflix, you find the digital telco profiles on Eiralo. So if I'm going to let's say Turkey tomorrow, I can now go to eiralo.com, find an eSIM for Turkey, install that eSIM into my phone. So when I land in Turkey tomorrow, I have connectivity from the first second. What Eiralo does is we defy the $52 billion roaming industry. Because when you can install a digital telco in 2 minutes into your phone, wherever you are in the world, you don't need roaming anymore. You don't need expensive roaming anymore. We also defy the physical SIM card stores at the airports. Because if I can install the Turkish eSIM right now in Singapore, before even I come to Turkey, now I don't need to spend 25 minutes at Istanbul airport trying to find a SIM card. So that's what we did with Eiralo. And I think Eiralo is the first business that kind of started as a proper global business for the first time. Anything I did before was always a lifestyle business. They were good businesses. They will provide me a good life, my family a good life, but that's all they are. They can never become the billion-dollar business that any entrepreneur dreams of. Eiralo is the very first business that can simply do that can become $100 million revenue company in 5 years. So that's where we are with Eiralo. So the Singapore question.
Yes. So we have two Singapore questions actually. So one from Pilin and the second one from Buse.
Okay. Can I be very straightforward, very open, very transparent? Okay.
You're in Singapore, so yes, you can.
So there are two replies to the Singapore question always. One of them is the popular reply, which I say, well, because the entrepreneurial system is more stable in Singapore, there are more opportunities in Singapore. So that's the popular reply. But I think the real reply that and I get to say this easily in Singapore is because I started feeling this toxic environment in Turkey. And I don't want to offend anyone, everyone there might be living in Turkey, but I just started feeling that the country is going off every single day. And I wasn't comfortable anymore. I would see news like a woman in shorts, wearing shorts in Metrobus. A guy would hit the woman and then he would walk away. I cannot even explain this anymore. And after living in Singapore in 3 to 4 years, I cannot even explain on what level I would be surprised with the news that I would hear in Turkey every single day. And I started getting very angry. Wait. Can we just talk about this? Some guy hit a woman because she was wearing shorts in the Metrobus, and he's fucking smiling because he knows nothing is going to happen to them. How the hell did this start happening? How the hell can I hit someone in Metrobus and just walk away thinking that nothing is going to happen? How am I? I would read news like, two boyfriend and girlfriend having a picnic somewhere in Kartepe in Izmit, happy couple, and then 3 guys would approach them and they would kill the guy. Wait, did this just happen? Did somebody just walk to a happy couple and kill them because their life is fucking miserable? And they are smiling on the camera right now? Wait. If I ever kill somebody, I will die of anxiety right now. I should die of anxiety right now. This guy is fucking smiling. How did this happen? How did this happen? How do we have a situation where you kill a person, and then you get to smile? Where is this comfort coming from? like things that I would watch in Turkey, see in Turkey every single day. The hate, how friends hate each other, how one group hates the other. It's like I cannot even explain. I'm like every time I would watch these street interviews, I would be like, what the hell did I just watch? Like, what was that? The toxicity, the self-entitlement, the unearned self-confidence that I see every single day around me. Like nobody is ever wrong. Like nobody is ever wrong. Like the guy sitting in a coffee shop. Like I like Adil Hoca. Like I'll give an example. Please don't get me wrong. Or from anyone. Adil Hoca, someone educated as Adil Hoca, will doubt himself every single day, thinking if I'm doing the right thing or the wrong thing, if I can improve myself or not improve myself. An educated guy like Adil Hoca doubts himself every single day, and this guy sitting in a coffee shop knows fucking everything. He's just so clear, crystal clear. Everything is solved in his mind. He has the answers to every question, and you know the Dunning-Kruger syndrome, right? It's a cliche. Maybe we all use it, but I think I just couldn't take it anymore. You know, I just couldn't take the whole toxicity, the problems. I opened the TV. There is this hate. There is this hate, and everyone talking about things that they have no effect on. Politics and religion, politics and religion, politics and religion. And I realized, man, I want to have the same problems as a Norwegian guy. That's what I want in my life. I want to have the same problems like a Finnish guy. I want to wake up this morning and fully focus on my work and just be happy. And I realized I cannot be happy in Turkey anymore. It's the toxicity around me was just too much for me. It is the real answer. So you know, I don't want to offend anyone on this one. I just don't want to bullshit anyone either. So that's the real answer. I was fed up with the hate culture that I see every single day around me, the unearned self-confidence that I see every single day around me. I see these interviews on TV, this 60-year-old woman or man giving an interview like, "La, la, la, la, la, la, la, la, la, la, la," and I'm like, this woman shouldn't be allowed to vote. Like seriously, if this woman is allowed to vote, my 5-year-old nephew should be allowed to vote because their IQs are the same level. If you are not allowing my 5-year-old nephew to vote, you have to ban this woman too, because I cannot live with the fact that this woman's choices is going to create my future in this country. I just can't take this anymore. It's like letting my 5-year-old nephew vote, and I couldn't take this anymore. I cannot live with the fact that these people are actually deciding my future in this company, whoever these people are. So I was done. So sorry, this is a very delicate subject
That's all
for me.
right. Yes. I agree with a lot of the things you say. The problem with deciding that 60-year-old lady doesn't know what she's talking about, don't let her vote. Somebody else might say the same thing about me, about you. Then somebody has to decide.
I know they can. I used to be more respectful for this. I used to think it's a more gray area, but I'm pretty sure it's a very black and white area. I'm not as respectful anymore. I used to be very respectful on this, but I realized, and this thing doesn't fucking deserve my respect anymore. These people are just evil. They are not like gray area evil. They are like Errol Taş kind of evil. You know, they are intentionally evil. They are not accidentally evil. They are intentionally evil. So this thing doesn't deserve my respect anymore. You know, I'm done. I'm done respecting this. Anyways, you know, this thing. I watched a video recently, Adil Hoca. So I'm very sensitive about this. A woman in the traffic, she's driving her car. This guy driving a Doblo gets out of the car, jumps on her car, and you know, jumps up and down and scaring the shit out of the lady. And then she's so scared, like in the traffic, she's so scared. And in a normal world, everyone around would just hold this guy and say, dude, you are done. This is at least 3 years of jail. At least. In a country where justice works, this is at least 3 years of jail. And what I'm watching is a bunch of guys comforting the angry guy. not helping the lady. Like, this is a very Turkish thing, by the way. It's like we somehow comfort the assholes. Like, we go like, Abi, it's okay. Abi, go to your car. Abi, don't comfort the guy. Hold the guy. Hold the fucking guy. Don't let him go anywhere until the police arrives, because that's how a normal user experience in any country would work. But in my country, we are comforting the asshole. We are Abi, she's a woman. Abi, she's a woman. Are you guys fucking hearing yourself? How disconnected are you from the reality? How disconnected are you from kindness? How disconnected are you from being a decent person anymore? And I was done. I was done with this whole selfishness. I was done where everybody just lives for themselves. I was just done. I was just done. So why Singapore? Because Singapore is the biggest shipping hub in the world. It has almost 70% of, this is for Aisha, it has around 70% of ship management companies in the world. And I thought, okay, if I'm doing a global SIM card for seafarers, this is the best country to be in. So I made an intentional choice to be in Singapore at that point, because then I will be very close to the maritime, the shipping environment. And my apologies for the whole angry talk in the last 5 minutes. It's a very sensitive topic for me.
Don't worry about it. But are you
I
still
don't want to die.
targeting?
I don't want to die when I'm having a picnic with my wife. I want to enjoy my day. I don't want to constantly be in a protective mode. Like, is anybody here? Are there any three guys drinking their beers who are about to come to us and say, we are the namus of this mahalle? I am fucking scared that some random three guys could bother me and my wife while we were just having a beautiful day outside. And this happens in Turkey. This is
It
your
is.
regular news in Turkey. Three guys drinking their beer thinks that they have the right to approach a couple and make their life miserable. They think they have the right to do that. In a country where justice works, those three guys will be fucking scared to do that. In Singapore, try this in Singapore. Try to give discomfort to a couple in Singapore and see what happens. This is just beyond me. And I realized, man, I cannot change this. I literally can't change this. And I can talk all day. I cannot change this. So, you know what? I'm done. Okay, that feels good. I'm done. I'm done trying to fix this. I'm out. I'm out, guys. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Well, hopefully the conditions will improve. I'm not sure it's going to happen in the short run,
I hope
but
so. This
eventually
is
these pendulums swing.
this is not about any political group, by the way. This is just a general view of the country from my perspective. I might be wrong, but nevertheless, that's where I am. So yeah, I share. That's why I'm in the maritime industry in Singapore.
What about, so among your target audience, is it still mostly shipping people? How about,
No.
tourists? How about
So
business people?
Sim4Crew purely focused on the shipping people. Airalo is basically for people, whoever travels from A to B. So basically, Airalo is, we focus on travelers when we started. Anyone who hates roaming charges, anyone who doesn't want to try to find local SIM cards at the airport. This is the customer of Airalo. And the beautiful thing about Airalo was, we were the first to be in this. Nobody else was doing this. And that's why we got to raise a good amount of Series A. We had 100,000 customers in 10 months. There was an instant product market fit. And when you are doing a startup, that is the first thing you want, product market fit. And that's why I find Airalo to be, the my most favorite company that I built, due to the fact that we are the first to do it, and it has a global product market fit. Adil Hoca, I never had a business like this before, because this business, from day one, in the last 10 months, we served people in 162 countries. This is a truly global approach. People from Argentina used us, people from Brazil used us, people in Japan used us. So it's a truly global business. And yeah, that's the customer base.
Other than being an early entrant, what's going to protect you?
Good question. I think one of the things that
Hey.
protects. No, I mean it's a very very expected. It's a question that every investor asks me, right? So basically, one of the things that protects us is we are the first guys to actually start this exclusive agreement with telcos. So there are many telcos where we are signing mutually exclusively. If I'm the guy doing this in Switzerland, I'm selling their eSIMs, we sign a 2-3 year contract, and I get to be their reseller. Another thing of being the early entrant is that we are now building partnership agreements with airline companies, with companies like Expedia, like Trivago, like Skyscanner. So very soon we are going to be the secret behind the scene connectivity provider of these big OTAs. Imagine next time you do, let's say, booking, right? In the checkout, the company will ask you, okay, you got your hotel reservation in this country. Would you like connectivity too? So we are almost working like a dark horse right now in the COVID-19. That's our strategy. Go as a dark horse, penetrate all the big travel companies. And when COVID-19 is over, we just pop up everywhere. And you will start realizing, wow, Turkish Airlines is giving me connectivity now. Wow, Sri Lanka, Emirates, Booking.com, Expedia, Skyscanner, they are giving me connectivity now. Where is this coming from? We will be behind the scenes. So that's one thing. Another thing I can suggest everyone who is going to build their startup at some point, companies don't always think that it's a moat. So a moat is basically what protects your business, right? But amazing customer support is something that is so much neglected by many companies. When you give an amazing customer support, it changes the whole game. That's something we are very proud of. In Airalo, we have a support team from day one. While we were still one person, the rest of the team, we had 10 people in the support team. We have people sitting from Brazil, from Moscow, from Ukraine, Greece, Philippines, Korea, Singapore. So we follow the sun when it comes to support. And this, we make sure we have a very human approach to every customer. And today we reply to every question under 13 minutes. That's not something every startup can manage. You don't even sometimes get this from your bank, a reply under 13 minutes. So we make sure wherever you are in the world, you get a reply just like that, and your problem is solved just like that. And this creates an amazing mode for us too, because people become very loyal to us. They know that Airalo solves their problems with a very human approach. No template replies, no cold calls, no stupid, oh, your ticket has been raised, we will blah, blah. We talk like human beings. That is something very important in the support. Talk like you will talk to your friend. Talk like you will talk to your another human being next to you. Don't talk like a robot. Don't give people the cold templates. People hate that. It's done. Banks did it. Big telcos did it. It's done. That phase is over. You have to talk to your customers like you are talking to real human beings. Make them smile. Make them happy. Kill them with kindness. That is very important. Always kill them with kindness. They will come to you very angry. They will come to crush you when they come to your support. You just kill them with kindness, and they will be like, okay, what the hell just happened? I was angry. I was gonna shout my lungs out, but they just treated me so nicely. They surprised me so nicely, and then he goes back happily. Problem solved. So that's
How
also
do they
something very
contact you? I know that you're on Twitter, and I follow you on Twitter on Airalo.
Our customers contact us. We have live chat on the website, on the app. They come to us on Facebook. They come to us with the contact form. So there are many ways actually for them to contact us. Some do the Twitter, but Twitter is very rare. Most of them come from the live chat on the app. So
On the app.
that's one of the things that we believe that are protecting us.
Okay. Here's
And
a
of course, money.
question.
We have the unfair advantage of Sequoia invested in us. So we raised $5 million when we are doing this, and we have this unfair advantage. Anyone who wants to come in first needs to raise some money to be able to play the game that we are playing right now.
So it's different this time, right? Because you're well financed, and
True.
you're able to spend that.
Exactly. Then you get to actually be more generous to your customers. That's very important. I don't want to say this. That's something I don't really like, but it's almost like you get to give enough chocolate before you give the broccoli. So we have.
I like broccoli.
Yeah, but you get my point, right? So we have this unfair advantage that we can give away a lot of chocolates, until we actually try to be more profitable. That's the unfair advantage that funding gives you.
Berkay asks about your information technology background. Did you do it yourself? Did you hire these people? Not just in this business, but in the previous things.
Thanks for the question, Berkay. So in all my lifestyle businesses, I would always outsource. I'm the idea guy. I find the idea, I know what to do, I have a roadmap in my mind, but I will always outsource what I want to do. But you cannot outsource and be a global company. That is something that I learned with Eiralu. With the lifestyle businesses, it's okay. If you have a simple idea that's gonna feed you and your family, if it's a lifestyle business, you can outsource it. But if you want to do something truly global, you have to have your in-house team. But me personally, I don't have an IT background. I don't have a business background either. I didn't finish the school too. So
You have several business backgrounds, not just the
no,
diploma.
yeah. So, but one thing, Berkay, this is an advice that I really find valuable because I've learned this along the way. There is always this misunderstanding, which I don't agree with. Actually, there's this. People think that if I'm going to build a startup, I need to have a co-founder, which is true. A co-founder is always very helpful. You need someone to share your vision with. So two people running the company is very valuable. But one mistake I realized people having that, if they are a business guy, they get obsessed to find a technical guy. If they are a technical guy, they get obsessed to find a business guy. This is not how the approach have to be eventually. What I realized was, if you are a business guy, I mean, a company doesn't really consist of a co-founding team, doesn't really consist of a business guy and an IT guy. It consists of a visionary and an integrator. That is the most important thing I have learned in the co-founder relation. If you are the storyteller, if you are the guy who daydreams, who dreams all the time, who has this vision for the next 5 years of the company, who wants to conquer the world, who wants to go global, who tells the story, who raises the funding, who brings in the investors, who inspires the people to join your company. If you are that guy, you need an integrator. An integrator is the behind the scenes guy who makes sure your dreams are actually executed, who makes sure there are standard operating procedures in the company, who makes sure the company works like a well-oiled machine, who makes sure the onboarding is done correctly, who makes sure there is no leakage around the company, who makes sure you are not paying an extra $6 for a G Suite account. You need a guy who is obsessed with details, who has attention to details, because his attention to details will give you the freedom to daydream. You will be like, you'll be dancing on the cloud as a visionary, because you know that behind the scenes somebody is taking care of the execution. That is very important. You don't need an IT guy. You need an executor. You need a guy who you can always hire the CTO. You can always give them ASOP, employee stock option. So you can always we have an amazing CTO right now. Incredible guy. I'm in love with the guy. He has an employee stock option. And he takes care of the whole, how the system works, right? But I have a co-founder who is an integrator in the company. And not the guy, I'm not referring to the guy that I started the company with. That's another story. So I actually changed the co-founder along the way. But that is very important. We'll give you an example from Walt Disney. I think that will give you an idea. The Walt Disney company, you always see this fun guy, the guy Walt, with the kids, Mickey Mouse and all those things. There's this fun guy in front. Everybody knows him. The guy who runs the show is his brother called Roy behind the scenes. Roy is the guy. Roy is the integrator who makes sure the Disney company became the Disney company. And then you have Roy. You have Walt Disney. He's the front. Walt. He's the front guy. He's the guy that inspires the kids, the people. But Roy executes everything behind the scenes. So if you are a visionary, find an integrator. Don't get obsessed by finding an IT guy or a CTO or anything like this. Visionary, integrator.
A few, just like that, there's a few other kind of common ways to state what kind of people you need on a team. Moğan Hoca, rahmetli Moğan Soysal, had one saying that in a successful business, you need at least three types of people. You need a dreamer, you need a businessman, and you need a son of a bitch that gets things done, okay?
Agree.
That people listen to, that when he says something, people jump, okay? So that was one way of saying it. But in the entrepreneurship ecosystem, we hear a lot of, again, three people, but they don't mention the SOB. They say you need, a hipster, somebody who's, a hacker, and then Well, a hustler, but sometimes they also say you need somebody with experience, a silverback,
Mm.
like a gorilla that knows the area. So a number of different things. But yes, somebody, even if they don't do the technology themselves, they need to understand and be able to tell people what to do. So,
True.
in a founding team, initially, if you're only two people, yes, they have to be able to do the technology, right?
Exactly.
Or farm it out.
Uh,
But
you can still bring in someone with employee stock option. You can still share the vision, make someone believe in and come join you. But I
Mhm.
still insist that there must be someone who makes sure the parts of the machine work. Someone more structured. And I'm not that guy. I mean, I'll show you. Look at this. Who takes notes like this? Look at this. This is me, right? I am the messiest guy in the world. So I
Is that
need
a
that.
music notebook?
This is no,
Not a
it's my
kitabı var ya.
no, it's my business notebook, right? I use in the meetings and I just start circling things, right? So my point is now you have to see my integrators book. It's like everything is just beautiful and clear, no mess. That's the distinction between a visionary and an integrator. An integrator allows you to be messy. If you're gonna be messy, go out there, tell your story. You have to make sure somebody is taking care of everything behind the scenes.
Tell me if this is correct. In my view, the thing which has made the biggest difference in your career, in what you do, has been your presentation skills, your
Yeah,
communication. Because
it is.
you are great, put you on screen. Even if you're not talking about something interesting, I'd listen, I'd watch you. I
Thank
do.
you.
You can
Thank you.
find him on YouTube, by the way. He does a
Thank
number
you.
of interviews and contests. So how did that come? Was it automatic or did you develop it over time? Because research says that there's a small percentage of people that are born good communicators. But the big remainder of good communicators develop over time by doing it again, practicing, and so on. So it's, in emotional intelligence, this is going to make a big difference. So what I tell each class, I should have told your class as well, is, make sure that you are good at communication, that you're good at presenting in front of a group. Because two people, other things equal, they both know the same things, they both have the same ideas. One doesn't know how to talk in front of people, will not, normally, they won't get the chances that somebody with the good presentation skills would get. Do you agree?
I fully agree. And actually, this is something the VCs also say all the time. When you are doing your seed and maybe the Series A, especially in the seed stage, VCs don't always just invest in the business. And this is very common. They do invest in the founder. People want to see a founder in front of them who is like a force of nature, who has the brute force, who has the grit, and he has to comfort them, and they need to see that, okay, this guy is going to get shit done. This guy can express himself or herself. This guy has a story. He knows what he's doing. He has stories in his heybe. He collected stories, and he saw so many actions and reactions. He's not going to be too surprised about the things that are happening because he's almost immune to a lot of things. He's gone through a lot of things. So I do agree that storytelling is a big part of especially fundraising in the VC ecosystem, in the entrepreneurial ecosystem. Uh, and again, it's the visionary's job. It's your job to tell the story, and I fully agree with it. And I don't know how my storytelling skills have developed over the years.
Elementary school, were you like this?
I Good question.
Sınıfın önüne
I
kalkıp masanın üzerinde
No,
diye
I was not.
anlatır.
I was not. Actually, I was a shy kid. I was a shy kid. To be honest, I don't know if it's related, but uh, I find I think good storytelling might come from uh, I don't know if this. I'm just thinking about my own personality, and I've always been a bit unhappy inside. Like there has always been this unhappiness behind me. Sometimes I tell people like passive aggressive sarcasm is the best cure. Is the best cure to to your miserable life. So sometimes I think maybe I have this sarcasm. Maybe I have these stories that I keep coming up. It might be because I might just be miserable in my personal life. This is something I'm very open about, because I've always I always ask myself, like, we are in pursuit of happiness, but how the hell do we really get it? Like, because when I think about my personal journey, I don't recall a very clear moment when I felt very happy, when I felt very intact, when I was like, wow, this feels okay, I'm in a good place right now. So I think it kind of started, generating this passive aggressive sarcasm behind the scenes, where I used to criticize a lot of things. Now I kind of lowered down on that, but that I think observation is also a big part of this. Like when you are kind of like a less happy person, just sitting by yourself, you get to observe so many things around you, like all the people, how things work. This observation starts reflecting you, because now you have stories to tell because you are observing so much. I think that might be one of the reasons, because I've never been kind of part of the group where I always been outside the group. I'm not saying this as like a proud thing, but I'm not even part of the ODTÜ reunions. Like, I'm looking at my schoolmates, like from Facebook. People from my class, they are coming together, having fun, having drinks with their families, and I'm always the guy just watching it from far, like almost like a unhappy guy who's like, wow, people are meeting. But this was like, also I was like this in the university too. People would always be groups, happy groups, and I would be the guy just observing, like, okay, this is what they are doing, this is what they are doing. So that observation might have given me this whole storytelling thing, because I never became comfortable in part of groups. I don't know. That's just one observation that I have about myself.
We'll have to attract you in more. Here's another interesting question from, actually, I think it's a friend of mine.
Yeah.
So you're a Turkish person working in Singapore from global clientele. How do you think your Turkishness has its influences on your entrepreneurial business? Does it
Uh,
influence it?
uh, I've seen cases where it does, and I'm I'm not proud or more proud of doing this, but there were instances where I did kind of disconnected myself from the whole Turkishness, and I think it's been 5 years now, that I started feeling like this for a while. There were instances, because please don't get me wrong, I'm not here to offend anyone, but that's what I observed when I was having global things. We are not known well from global people's perspective. I haven't seen. There was one instance. I saw a 65-year-old Malaysian uncle here, a very Muslim guy. Uh, he was a taxi driver. He has a certain way of living. You can tell. And that guy was the only guy who told me, "You guys are the best. I know you will conquer the world and you will unite the Islamic world." And that was the only time where somebody complimented on my Turkishness, when he thought that we are going to conquer the world and unite the whole world. That was the only compliment I get. But other than that, with other business meetings, there's always like, wow, things don't look good there. Like things, I'm like, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I always say like, I'm not following closely.
Mhm.
But the Turkishness is something that I never emphasize on, to be very honest.
But that might not be what she's referring to. It might be that, for example, having lived in Turkey, you mentioned, I want to be like this guy in Norway, right?
Yeah,
In 1 year, they probably have less happening in Norway than we have in 1 week in Turkey, which
true.
makes us, good at dealing with firefights and problems. All of a sudden,
But I
we
also
we
feel,
react much quicker.
Adil Hocam, I also feel like it dominates too much
Mhm.
of our brain as a wastage.
Yeah.
Like you wake up with 30% of your brain occupied with something that has no contribution to you personally or business. Like, it's just there. This 30% is fully occupied with something that is just there because it's there. So I like to take this out. I like to wake up in the morning with that 30% not occupied. But did Turkishness give me any problems? Never. Like, it never did. If you are doing business with someone, the business is business as always.
How
But
about dealing with crises, for example? Do you react when there is a problem? Some people, some Europeans, act
in that
so
aspect, okay,
slowly, and we.
that aspect, from my thinking perspective, I think the Turkishness uh, gave me. I mean, I definitely agree with this part. Uh, you, it gives us the power to ignore first world problems. That that really is something that I feel in my life. Sometimes I hear people with such small problems, and then I'm thinking, wait, this is your problem. You know what? There was a time in Turkey when I used to tell my wife to leave the shopping mall early because I didn't want her to die because of an explosion, a potential explosion in the shopping mall. I would literally call my wife and say, please don't go to places where there are more people or there are more policemen. Always try to walk in empty spaces. And I'm like, wow, that is my problem. So what happens was you don't get surprised anymore. Like, nothing really gets to you, right? Because here it's always first world problems. Like, oh, should I do this? Should I do this? Should I wear this? I'm like, that's a good problem to have. I'll play along, but you stop being surprised at things because you've seen so many weird things, so many crazy things. That is not. I mean, I always say, if a Singaporean goes to Taksim today, iki kere söküp takarlar. Yani o böyle. It will be very difficult for the Singaporean to adjust to a lot of things that we are adjusted, from our childhood, the toughness, the things that we can take care of. We are adjusted to a lot of weird conditions. So definitely, I agree. We are more we
Adaptable.
don't have, yeah, we are more comfortable with problems because we've seen so many worse things that the things that I observe here is like, well, okay, we'll take care of it. Like, it's just a small issue. The
Okay.
Turkish
We're,
gives you the grit.
we're about to run out of time, so if you have any last questions, or Bahadır, if you have something that, the students, the class, these people must know, do you have anything very important to say?
Well, I mean,
Don't worry, be happy. Yeah.
well, I mean, it's. I mean, I. First of all, if you want to be entrepreneurs, I don't want to say this as a cliche, but really, really think twice because it is, it is not easy. It's very tiring. Every day you have to deal with 50 decisions. Even while we are speaking, my WhatsApp and the Slack channel is going crazy because every day there are decisions that needs to be made. Versus leaving a job at 6 p.m., just shutting yourself down, having a beautiful time with your family, and turning yourself on again 9 a.m. in the morning. Make that choice if it really suits you. It's a life I'm in now, and I cannot go back, and this is my life now. But the startup thing sounds very sexy, sounds very fun. Having your own business, it sounds fun, and I do love it. Like, your times, your decisions, but you just have to be so ready for a pressure, and you don't get to walk away. That's the thing, right? When you are not happy in Garanti Bankası because of your job, you can say, you know what, fuck you all, and you just walk away. This is your company. So when you are angry, when you are depressed, when things are getting difficult, there's no one that you can get angry with. It's you who has to take care of things. You cannot just walk away from it. So, be very careful. It's not for everyone. You have to be a bit really crazy to get into this whole game. But if you do, and if you manage it well, uh, it's fun. Like, I don't think I will do anything else other than this. It's that beauty of freedom that you are gonna love when things start working, right? I start my day at 1 p.m. and I have nobody to report this to because I just wanted to start today at 1 p.m. Okay, that freedom I wouldn't trade for anything. But again, you have to be a bit crazy to get into this pressure.
How much time do you spend in traffic now?
None. Right now, it's all working from home. It's all working from home, and no time. But yeah, I mean, build companies, guys. Like I would, if there are entrepreneurs here who wants to do things, like build companies, have fun. It's a good journey. It's an amazing journey. You will never get bored. I can tell you that you will never get bored. But it's a crazy ride, up and downs, a lot of them. I mean,
Okay.
I don't have the secret to life, but that's pretty much it.
Now it feels less scary to go abroad and become an entrepreneur. You might be getting some people to try different things. Elif is my assistant at Otugimer, and
Singapore is a beautiful place for an entrepreneur, by the way. Like it is truly amazing. I'm in love with the country. Like it's safe, it's very structured, no surprises, no bullshit, purely business, purely entrepreneur. In Singapore, you get to be on the same playing field with anyone else. The level is same. I used to feel when I'm in Turkey, while people are playing here, I used to start my game here. Now I feel like okay, the playing level is equal. It's just a matter of who is much smarter now. The external conditions are equalized. So it's just a matter of who is better, who is smarter. When I was in Turkey, the external conditions were, taking me down a little bit. But yeah, definitely come to Singapore if you want, and you have a host here who can show you around.
okay. Well, thank you, Bahadır. It's been
Thank you,
great.
Akram.
It's been fun as usual.
Thank
And
you, everyone.
I checked the last time I had you as a guest in at Otu was in 2015.
Yes,
So
Hocam.
we need to do this at least once every 5 years, hopefully more often.
I'm good for it. I'm good for it. Everyone, thank you so much for being here. Have an amazing day.
Thank you.
Bye,
Görüşmek
everyone.
üzere. Bye-bye.